turn to perform at the open mic at Dick Doherty's Beantown Comedy Vault, which remains, a decade and a half later, the comedy club with the most cumbersome name I've ever heard. It was good advice, and like most good advice, it seemed hard to put into practice, so I didn't. I was 19 years old and brand new to stand-up. Mike was a few years older and was already a working comic, which was the only goal in comedy I felt comfortable aspiring to. I'd never met anyone who had a stand-up special or wrote for a sitcom, but Mike got paid to tell jokes, which seemed both exciting and, eventually, possible for me, too. He emceed at the clubs around Boston and, in fact, performed basically anywhere in New England with a stage. Elks Lodges, folk music venues, Chinese restaurants. Mike's act was heavy on rapid-fire wordplay, and the smart, dense jokes stood out at open mics, where a substantial portion of the entertainment sounded like the introductory speeches at a support group for young men who are addicted to masturbating. I always appreciated Mike's advice. It was nice to have someone be nice to me. Not that the other comedians were cruel. Most of them barely paid attention to me. I eventually made friends with some of the newer comics, but at first we were all too wrapped up in our own neuroses to engage with one another. We buried our heads in our notebooks backstage, slyly watching each other's sets, but not confident enough to compliment each other on a job well done for fear of seeming uncool, or worse, overeager. The more established comics, stopping by to try out a few minutes of new jokes, didn't seem to notice us at all. Before and after their sets, they hung out at the back of the bar upstairs from the basement showroom, talking among themselves and drinking bottles of Michelob Ultra for some reason. I would have welcomed any attention, even the negative kind. A little trash talk would have really put me at ease. Not a withering critique, just the kind of shit you talk to your friends' faces because they know you don't really mean it. It's much better than being badmouthed behind your back, although that can still happen in these cases too. Or being ignored entirely. There's an apocryphal Boston comedy story I've heard for years, in which a headliner goes up to his opening act and says, "Look, man, I'll give you $20 if you go out there and just eat it for the whole 15 minutes. Crickets, no laughs, a total bomb." The opener rolls his eyes and goes out, where he has a fine set to a decent audience response. After 15 minutes, he gets off stage to see the headliner, mouth agape, $20 bill in hand. "I didn't think you'd really do it," he says, palming the bill to the opener. I wanted that so bad, the whimsical cruelty of "we all belong here." Years later, I was backstage waiting to perform my first stand-up set on national television on Conan. I chatted with friends and picked at a veggie plate. I was pacing the green room propelled by nervous energy when Conan O'Brien, the titular Conan, came through the doorway. "It's so nice to meet you," I said. "Thanks for having me on your show." "Well, that's not a done deal yet," he said, his face stern. I laughed. It was the most comforting thing I could have heard. For Conan to come backstage and make fun of me right away sent a clear message. I think you can hang. Still, absent that, I remained grateful for Mike's consistent kindness and unwavering advice. It was never, "have a great set," or even its superstitious backstage surrogate, "break a leg." Every time I was about to take the stage, he'd say, "Are you up next? Have fun." That was my comedy North Star, the effort to enjoy myself. And the fact that someone had taken the time to give me any kind of sincere feedback was almost as good as being made fun of. Without Mike's input, I don't know if I ever would have gotten comfortable. But for my first year doing stand-up, I was unable to take his simple direction. When I was on stage, having fun never entered my mind. If you feel inclined to heckle my book, now would be a good time to drunkenly yell, "Fun didn't enter the audience's mind either." If Mike hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have even considered the idea of fun. I didn't get into comedy because it was fun. I did it because it was exciting. I first performed at the Vault the summer between my freshman and sophomore years at college. It was an easy commute, only a 20-ish minute drive from my parents' house. But when I got back to school in the fall, the trip became much more difficult. First, I had to remember to call the club booker on Tuesday to secure a spot the following Sunday. Then, that Sunday at 7, I'd hop on the free shuttle bus that the Brandeis administration ran over the weekend, so the student body didn't get stir-crazy and turn the campus into the hotel from The Shining. I got off the bus in Harvard Square and took the subway the rest of the way downtown. I also had to drag 2 paid audience members with me in order to secure my spot on stage. It's what's called a bringer show. which is a club's way of ringing a